Third review for this part of the review series that I'm doing about movies and stuff, you know, quick little stuff. And it's on yet another DC movie. I just thought I'd point that out for you. You know, I've always had this lingering, nasty little thought in the back of my head. Just kind of a feeling, you know, that this movie was going to suck and suck hard no matter what you did with it. And then I saw the Rotten Tomatoes score. Oh, don't mind me. I'm just wiping my ass with that score because that's some horse shit. Am I edgy and cool yet? No? Alright, good. But do you want to know what else is good? This movie. I always go into a movie really optimistic and hope for a good time, despite what reviews say. Hell, I even gave Fantastic Four a chance. 2 chances, actually. I'm just gonna mark that down on my to review list, because that piece of shit cost me time and money. And it deserves a beating. Suicide Squad was a fun movie. It had this aura of fun with its highly outmatched team of ragtag baddies trying to come together to do some good in the world. Everyone in this movie turned in a great performance for their characters, even if a couple of them are a bit underdeveloped. Now, I'm gonna give this movie a positive review because I did like it, I had a good time, but I do have my problems with it, and I will list them out right now. It feels like they cut some stuff out for time constraints. Katana and Captain Boomerang are 2 of the most underdeveloped characters in the movie, and they both have personalities, but they do this one thing each that's just kinda out of nowhere and had no build-up. I mean, they're both really minor in the grand scheme of things, and I'm certain that they do have scenes that build them up, but I didn't see them in the theatrical cut, and I'm hoping they put it back in later. Number 2, like Dawn of Justice, it takes a few minutes to get the ball rolling. They spend so much time introducing us the members of the Suicide Squad that I swear a half hour went by before they even got the whole team together in the same scene. I mean, that's a problem by itself, but for me, I'm kind of used to it. I mean, I kind of liken it to a roller coaster, you know? Slow build, slow rise, and then it drops and keeps going. And the final one is that it's a bit crowded with all the characters. Like I said before, some of them are a bit underdeveloped, and that was a bit disappointing for me, but I'm not going to spoil anything when I say this, but one member of the Suicide Squad just kind of shows up out of the blue, does nothing, says hardly anything, and then he just dies. Well, thanks for your input. I'm glad you were here. But despite all that, I still found myself laughing at the jokes it was giving, enjoying the action scenes that were going on, and I just generally can't see myself giving it a negative review at all. But I will say that Suicide Squad is probably one of those movies that's going to be a bit polarizing, and I'm probably not being a very good salesman when I say that it is good, but I'll lay out something. This movie kind of feels like a 1970s B-grade action-sploitation flick sometimes. It's trashy, and is fully aware of how trashy it is, so it embraces it. I'm all for a movie who's fully aware of itself and is just trying to have some fun without giving a shit ton of winks and nods to the audience. You know, it's not treating its audience like a bunch of slack-jawed idiots with its constant elbows and nudges and pokes. It's like, we're self-aware, ooh, ooh! And this is also gonna come as a surprise, but at times it also felt kinda like Power Rangers for a while. I mean, they just go from room to room encountering these monsters and getting into fights. I couldn't help but think of Rita Repulsa's Putty Patrol. Now, you might call that a flaw, but I call it a good time. I really can't wait for the home video release of this movie when they inevitably edit a lot of the scenes back into it, as they should, so we get more context and development. But to me, I think some of the best movies are the ones that you can acknowledge are flawed, but succeed in spite of them. The movie's a superhero flick about a quirky group of ragtag, unlikely heroes coming together to kick some ass, tell some jokes, and go from point A to point B. Well, spoilers! They got that! They got that all day and night! At the end of the day, I have to ask myself 2 questions every time I see a movie. Was I entertained? And did the movie succeed in what it was trying to do? For me, it was yes and double yes. Now, it wasn't a success by leaps and bounds. I'm not gonna go out and say it's the best movie of all time, but a tepid success is still a success in my book. Alright, I took a dump on Rotten Tomatoes already, but let me just love my hat on the topic of the now. The petition to shut them down was dumb, but Rotten Tomatoes is still a shitty website, and I could make a whole video about that if I wanted to. I've noticed a pattern with the people who weren't too happy with it. They had these really high expectations, and they kinda came into it expecting it to be the second coming of DC Christ. You called? Not you.
I'm Batman!
I know.
I was in this movie!
I know!
I'm
Batman! We get it! You're Batman! I went in expecting to have neon lights shoved up my nose while the emo kids in the back of the theater yelled "roar" before sucking each other's faces off every time the Joker and Harley had a scene together. But I got a trashy 1970s action-exploitation movie that accidentally walked onto the set of Power Rangers. It kept me entertained. But hey, bad reviews, good reviews, high expectations, low expectations. At the end of the day, the only real way to know for yourself if you're gonna like it is to go see it. I personally enjoyed it, and even though it was a bit messy at times, but hey, it was a fun little mess, and I'm glad I saw it.
No, Batman! That's me, I'm Batman!